subscribe.
A lot of people stole things because they were hungry. They had no other means to live. I know people say, oh, well, other people got out the East End and they made it. It's not like that for everybody. I mean, some people are more brainy than others, have more chances. In your life, you mean to go one way and you're pulled another. It's not the individual all the time.
The Krays had got something about them that was almost indefinable. To say that they were personalities is wrong, because they projected an aura of evil, of power. They would resort to violence at the slightest provocation to establish a reputation, and this they did very, very successfully, so that not only foreigners and people that intruded into the East End, but members of their own gang respected them because of that violence.
But if the Krays were so evil, why did the community in which they lived put up with them for so long? Many of life's simple pleasures were outlawed by the state. Late-night drinking, card and dice games, and off-course betting.
I mean, I lived in a place called South Grove Buildings. It was a big old block of flats. There was at least 3 bookmakers, and they used to take the bets. And they all got a living. And all of a sudden they might say to my dad, Barney, my dad's name, Barney, got nicked today. So B's tend to get nicked, they're taken to court. Illegal bookmaking, street bookmaking, might get found for a £5. People in there playing cards, and then the police were great. They take them to the police station, have the beer in court, next one get fined. Get cheese fight, whatever it was in them days. And that's where the people thought, what are we doing wrong? All we're doing is playing cards. We're not doing anything wrong, and they're arresting us, and so they lost their respect for them.
Down the East End, the police were sort of natural enemies in some extent, and people didn't come running in with information unless it was to their benefit. They're a community of their own. They've lived hard, they've had a hard time, but it was their ethics and a code of honour that you didn't normally grasp.
The twins ran that part of London like an iron rod. There was nothing that went on in that East End that they didn't know about. If there was a wrongdoing, get off the manor, because they would come down on you like a ton of bricks.
Well, you know, they keep saying about protection. They was running the protection racket. It wasn't actually like it sounds. They would go into a place and say, if you don't give me we look after you, if you don't pay this, you'll be in trouble and all that. The people actually used to go to them and want them to look after it and let it be known that they was looking after a place. Actually, I suppose it is a protection racket in a way, but it was worked on a different basis. People used to go to them and ask them to look after them.
There were lots of people that were walking into pubs that were taking a lot of money in those days. Remember, we were talking about the early 60s, when live music and good entertainment was throughout the East End, throughout every part of London. And protection money was being asked for, and therefore rather than pay 3, 4, 5, 10 bullies, it's better to go and ask Bonnie and Reggie Kray, could you just appear for 10 minutes or have 1 or 2 drinks in our pub on a Saturday night? Once it was known as a pub that the Krays used, then that publican didn't have any more trouble.
They only went into people that were breaking the law. You know, like if you had a publican who was having a laugh to timer, then they could go into him. Or if they had a club where they were doing illegal gambling, dice, spieling or something like that, they would go into them. They want their whack. But no way could they ever go into straight people. Because first, if they come into you, the first thing you do is pick the phone up. Give me the police. And that was it. So the only people they could intimidate were people that couldn't phone the police.
The twins themselves would never like go on an organised robbery or a blagging or anything like that. They considered that the work of jailbirds, in their own words. But as soon as they heard of somebody who had it off, their first concern was, do they know anyone on the team? If they do, then they would go in for their whack, as there is no their share. If he says, I'm not going to give you any money, you don't jump all over him. You come back and you say he's not going to pay. Now, that would be a different mission. Go and get 3 or 4 guys and go and sit on his house or a pub or a club where he drinks and give him a talking to, send him to the hospital for a couple of days and then talk to him again. That was everyday firm work.
You'd get up in the morning, yeah, and some mornings you'd come down, you'd be all happy, ha ha ha, and that morning you'd come down, sit in a chair and pull a face and he'd sit there and you could talk to him. That's how he was. And if he was nice in the morning, he'd have got someone on the night, and if he was horrible in the morning, he'd be all happy.
Ronnie didn't hide the fact that he was a homosexual. No. He liked young boys, young men. There were writers, there were the politicians, like the famous ones like Bruce B. Drybird and a few others. Supposing Ronnie might fancy a showbiz, so he used to put what they call a W out to warrant. Anybody can get in back to the twins would get a payment, some sort of cash. We were all up the West End somewhere one night in this well-known Chinese place, and we saw this guy sitting on his own, obviously to be noticed. And Ronnie spotted him and said, who's that? And somebody said, that's Cliff Richard, an up-and-coming star. And, I'd like to meet him, So straight away there's a W out for him. If anyone can get him in to a meet, that's all he's got to do. Can't guarantee that you fancy Ronnie. It would have been a bad thing if he ever had happened, I think so. I mean, old Cliff, I don't particularly like his singing and all that, but he don't seem a bad guy. I wouldn't have hated to see him involved with that sort of person.
You had to be careful what you said in front of him. You could say something to Ronnie one day, and the next day take big offence to it. There was that look about him. Not deliberate. That was what I was staring down. Was immaculate. I'll picture Ronnie Kray, his glasses on, 3-piece suit, the match and watch and chain. He'd stand in the corner there, sipping a drink. Staring at the phone. Never really said a lot.
Ronnie was particularly dangerous. There was no knowing where his temper would lead him. People were shot for offences, people were very badly beaten. Somebody said quite early on to Ronnie, you've put on a bit of weight, and Ronnie cut the man to ribbons.
Ronnie, he was his own man, Nobody was going to tell him what to do. He was the boss.
Ronnie was more, if he gave his word, he would stick to his word. He was the nuttiest one of the two, and he was on his horse tranquilizer and knock a horse over what he used to take, But he needed that every day to keep himself, because he was manic depressive, and if people looked at him too long, he thinks they're going to attack him or something. He was one of those very insecure people.
He was a very, very scary man. Believe me, I've met a lot of scary people.
But Ronnie Kray was a very, very sick, psychopathical, schizophrenia, and manic depressive, all rolled in one.
He wasn't right in the head. He definitely wasn't right in the head.
He never apologised. He never reformed.
He was getting out of control, Ronnie. He was going so far that he couldn't care less. He thought he was untouchable.
Ronnie continued to chicken scratch his list of people he intended to kill.
He took one of my kids' little books and he started putting names.
So Kray compiled a list of the people to be killed.
Who's going to be next?
On your daughter's colouring book.
In my front room.
Fear came over Ronnie, you know. Oozed out of him. He had a smile, almost take it two ways. Either he's smiling at you because you're going to get hurt, or he's smiling at you because he likes you. I mean, Ronnie would be laughing and joking about, all of a sudden, he'd pick on him. I was up the club speaking with George and Alan Dixon, and Ronnie happened to walk in, and I never seen him. Hello, Bill, and he stopped dead, went in his pocket, pulled out a Beretta, went up to Dixon, and Dixon was about 6'3". Ronnie was about as tall as me, I suppose, about 5'9", 5'10". Put the gun in and bang, bang, pulled the trigger twice, and nothing happened. I thought it was a joke. Ronnie took 2 bullets out. He said, here's your birthday present, George.
We even sort of half start popping them off ourselves.
How would you have gone about this?
We'll separate them first. Ronnie was wide open, because if he sat in the car, he would have to sit in the passenger seat. So you got the driver, Ronnie, and a couple of carefully selected people sitting in the back, taking through Blackwall Tunnel or Robber Island, and bang, finished. He wouldn't have to know. He might suspect, but he wouldn't have to. He'd probably, if he made a movie, would have had to go. You know, I mean, if you're into killing Ronnie and Reggie, you're not going to spend any sleepless nights over Charlie.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please join our Facebook group. It's called Krays Crime Lords of London. We're a friendly, moderated group with over 1,000 Kray and other celebrated gangster videos available for view. There's also thousands of images in the photos sections. The link for the group is in the YouTube description section. I hope we see you there soon.
Leave a like and subscribe.